Hello everyone, I hope you are doing well and are doing great. I am Kashmi. I am here with another educational video. In this video, we are going to discuss punctuation in the NX software sketch environment. I opened a sketch from the past and added a few endings. We drew this sketch before, we posted the video before. I will put the link here on the right, and I hope that now it will also fit into this crack. Now, why did we choose it? We want to implement different types of punctuation. Now, what are the different types of punctuation and what is the story? Here you put the point. This point is very important to remember because all the models, over and over again in many different tools, you have to remember and use various punctuation methods. Like, well, for example, you go to spline, you use it, look in spline, you see the point constructor command or the point dialog. For example, you need to put punctuation. You go to the command line, for example. You select the pattern. Here is the point specifier. Here is the point dialog. Look, there are points everywhere. You have to remember to use it. So I'll put the point here. So the point specifier. Now the different models, here are the shortcuts. You can use these, or you can put this point dialog option. It will open all the point options for you. Now, let me explain this. When you're in a mode other than the point dialog, in the normal mode, if you click anywhere while in infer mode, it places a point, you see? It places the point where you clicked, but when you switch to the point dialog and click in infer mode here, it won't keep placing points one after the other. For example, if you click here and want a point right here, you need to confirm it. Then, for the next point, you can go over there and click to confirm. So this confirmation is important. But when you're in this mode, wherever you click, it gives you a point. So I'm going to press Ctrl and remove this. Then click OK to go to the next point in the game. I mean, this is like clicking OK, but when you're here, wherever you click, it gives you a dot. So I'll increase the control. I'll take this away. I'm selecting the lower option, the first mode, which is the infer mode. This mode is smart. For example, if you want the center of this circle, it will give it to you. If you want a point on the circle itself or on the arc, it will provide you with a point there. This is the smart feature. The cursor and location will place a point wherever you say. The mouse will place a point wherever it goes, and it doesn't care about the arc or anything else. For example, if I say to place a point here, okay? The next mode is the existing point. It means I can place a point that already exists for you. Dude, it looks really silly that there's a point here. And you still want to place an existing point on it, right? Yes. You'll see this later in a command like the whole command, which you'll learn later, and how it's used to explain why existing points are so important. You can create endpoints at the ends of lines and arcs. For example, if I click on this line here, it gives me a point on this side, and if I click on the other side, it gives me a point at the end. It generally provides you with all the end points. For instance, if I click on this arc, it shows me the ends on either side. It doesn't care about the middle, it only gives you the ends. Control point, for example, if I click on the part where I am controlling the point, it will give you the first control point. And the end of this line like the top, the middle, the end like the bottom, and another circle. Now you can give a circle, but if you give it, it will give you the location of the arc. This is it. Intersection point gives you the intersection of two things. For example, they say, the intersection of this line, I give you a point. This is the intersection point. We don't have this. It can be a line, it can be two. Arcs, it gives you these locations. What else do we have? Arc ellipsis percent, the center of circles and arcs. Now it gives you this. For example, if I click on this circle, it directly gives me the center point. Why? Or if I click on this arc, it gives me the center point as well. What else do we have? Angle, arc, ellipse. For instance, I can introduce this circle and specify the angle or the position of the point. For example, I can say 0 degrees here, 90 degrees up, 180 degrees left, and 270 degrees down. Now, for example, you give it 30 degrees, or I mean, it's all in the software. Look, it has all of these. Okay, when you confirm, it places the point for you. The next mode is the quadrant point. The quadrant point refers to the 4 points of the circle, specifically at 0, 90, 180, and 270 degrees. I'm selecting this, for example. Look, here's a point. I'm clicking on that point above. I'm clicking on this point on the left. Once you confirm this point below, it will be applied. What's the next mode? It's the point on the curve. For example, you have a curve like this. You want to have a point on it. You can determine exactly where to place this point. You can determine it. Now, determining it also has its own story. Now, the location is, for example, the arc of the lens. You say give a point at a millimeter in the journey. At the beginning, it gives you a point. Okay. You say give a point at 10 millimeters. At 10 millimeters, it measures the length. At 30 millimeters, even at 40 millimeters, 60 millimeters. At 60 millimeters, it goes out to proceed. It also takes into account the extension and the stretch for you, considering the point. You can give a percentage of this parameter. For example, I say I want a point at 50% of the path. This curve I gave 50% of it will place a point here. I want it at 30%. I want it at 33%. I want it at 70%. It creates these points for you. This is the state of your point, which is very, very important. Between your points, between 2 points, I want to put a point on me. I say between the central point. Open this between your points. Open your points. I have a dialogue. Look, it's all dot to dot. They say, I want to have a point between this point and that point. It places a point between these two, so it becomes here. Now, you can determine that it should be exactly 50% or 10%, which is closer to the starting point, or 90%, which is closer to the end point. You can actually determine all of these. You can even consider 75%, 25%, or the same 50%. It's okay to take that into account. In all of this, we have brought you the coordinates of all the points. You can check it. Then we saw between 2 points. We also have pole and SP-line definition points and defining points. For example, I will now teach SP-line in the next video. I will draw an SP-line here as a true point. I will also draw one by poles. I come right here and carefully enter into the point command. I say, kindly provide me with the points of these poles. And then I proceed to take this one over there. Look closely now. This particular point right here is indeed considered as being our first pole point. The second bridge point, the Sebum bridge and the Charm bridge, are the 2 points. For example, I want this. I do it okay. It gave a point of the same aspect. The next mode is the spline defining point of your core. I gave an error. These defined points gave an error. The points that we actually wanted to draw this spline and had, and now we have given to the spline can be repointed using this command. Well, this spline that I have, for example, had a series of points of its own. The first, second, and fourth points can be recorded. For example, I set the mode to the spline mode defining point. This is the first point. This is the second point. This one is the third point. And this one will be the fourth. For example, I confirm this third point and place a point on it. The whole point placement in the annex is the same. You can form it with expressions. In a video or tutorial, we might say, you can also place a point with coordinates. You can say, for example, at coordinates 0, 0, 0, I want another point, or at coordinates 10, 10, 10. I want a point at 10. Now, since we are on the X and Z plane, we need to set Y to 0. Well, because we're back to work. I confirm it and it just created a point for me here. That was the entire point command. I hope this video was useful to you and that you are a first-class Aliyah, no matter who you are. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and ring the bell. Good luck, and for now, goodbye.